You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Head toward LSU and Auburn Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. A lot of the conversation, of course, about the LSU offense, which is at a pace bested only by the 2019 Tigers. What we are seeing is otherworldly, and there has been so much conversation, rightfully so, about Jaden Daniels. Russ Mitchell, who has a Heisman vote, was with us on Wednesday and said, as of right now, Jaden Daniels, despite 2 losses, would be on his Heisman ballot. Remember, each Heisman voter gets 3 choices, a first, second, third place. So I would imagine there's a lot of people who probably share that sentiment about Jaden Daniels. There's something happening, though, that we all, my hand in the air as well, are probably not paying enough attention to, and that's the season Malik Nabers is having. I started digging into it a little bit today because Pro Football Focus put out their mid-season college football all-prospect team. So they're looking ahead to the NFL draft, and they basically looked at each position and who had the highest grade among draftable players at those particular positions. And when we talk about Pro Football Focus, I always feel like I have to throw out this caveat. Pro Football Focus is a metric. It's not the metric. It's just something to consider. It is a metric, numbers plugged into an algorithm that spits out a metric, and we all sort of accept or don't accept its credibility or do with it what you will. But Pro Football Focus is something that we talk about often. So Michael Penix, highest rated quarterback. Marshawn Lloyd from USC is the highest rated running back. Brock Bowers, highest rated tight end. And there's some other familiar names like Joe Alt, the offensive tackle from Notre Dame. Cedric Van Pran from Warren Easton in New Orleans, highest rated center right now in this draft. But the one that I really wanted to point out was receiver, because there are 2 that they mentioned. And one is Xavier Legette from South Carolina. And the other is Malik Nabers from LSU. I'll read you real quickly what they write about Nabers. Nabers entered the 2023 season as one of the top receivers on PFF's 2024 Big Board, and he has lived up to the hype. His 771 receiving yards ranks second only to Missouri's Luther Burden III, who is looking like wide receiver 1 in 2025's draft class. Nabers' 90.9 receiving grade is the best on the team, and he already has 20 explosive plays of 15 yards or more in just 6 games. By the way, the honorable mention that they list: Troy Franklin from Oregon, Torrey Horton from Colorado State, Jalen Polt from Washington, Roman Dunze from Washington, Trey Harris from Ole Miss, and Brendan Rice from USC. Those are the highest graded receivers according to Pro Football Focus among the draftable players for this upcoming draft. Understand, right now Malik Nabers is the highest graded receiver in college football among draftable prospects. It's a mouthful. And when you start to look at what Nabers has done through 6 games, it's even more impressive. Let me spell this out a little bit for you. And I know when we do numbers here, numbers can be confusing. So I'm not trying to get you to get out a pen and paper, take notes on this. I'm just trying to illustrate the point of just how elite Malik Nabers is through 6 games. The single greatest receiving season in LSU history was Jamar Chase in 2019. He had 1,780 yards. Won the Biletnikoff, as we all remember. The second best receiving season in LSU history was Josh Reed in 2001, 1,740 yards. Also won the Biletnikoff in 2001. Now, it's worth noting with both Chase and Reed, there's a big disparity there. Because Josh Reed, while LSU went 10-3 that year, played in 13 games, bowl stats did not count. So the darn near 200 receiving yards Josh Reed had against Illinois in the bowl game didn't count for his total. So the 1,740 was in 12 games. Jamar Chase, as amazing as he was, that 1,780 was in 15 games. So when you look at a yards per game average, Josh Reed's yards per game average was almost 30 yards higher than Jamar Chase. Wrap your head around that. Josh Reed's yards per game average was almost 30 yards per game higher than Jamar Chase. So, Josh Reed's 2021 was a better season than Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had more games. That's the plainest way to say it. After Chase Reed, though, in total, Chase Reed, Justin Jefferson in 2019, Wendell Davis in 1986, Jarvis Landry in 2013, and Odell in 2013. That's your list of your top 6 seasons, receiving seasons in NFL history. Here's the numbers through 6 games. I'm going to go in order, okay? Keep in mind, Malik Nabers right now, again, you don't need to memorize these numbers, but it's going to be very, very clear what I'm describing here. Malik Nabers is at 771 yards through 6 games, okay? 771 through 6 games. Jamar Chase, 626. Malik Nabers is 150 yards ahead of the pace that Jamar Chase set back in 2019. Josh Reed through 6 games was at 813. He was already over 800 yards. So remember, Josh Reed's 50 yards ahead of where Malik Nabers is right now. Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson in 2019, at this point of the season, was at 670 yards. So again, Nabers is 100 yards ahead of the pace that Jefferson set. Jarvis Landry in 2013 was at 616. So Nabers 160 yards ahead of Jarvis's pace. And Odell was at 686 through 6 games back in 2013 as well. That was the Mettenberger, Jarvis, y'all remember. So he's about 90 yards. Malik is about 90 yards ahead of OBJ's pace. All that to say, I get it. A lot of numbers. All that to say that through half a season, Malik Nabers is dusting Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Wendell Davis, Jarvis Landry, and Odell Beckham. Dusting them through 6 games. Now, you got 6 more games to go, right? You got to duplicate in the second half, which you did in the first half. But at this point in the season, the only receiver in LSU history that's had a better 6-game stretch to start a season is Josh Reed, who won the Biletnikoff in 2001. And Malik Nabers, with the way this offense is churning, looks like he ain't slowing down. Now, I don't think Malik is going to catch Jamar Chase's season record of 1780 because he's not going to play in 15 games. He would have to essentially pass Josh Reed's yards per game average, which, if he does that, incredible. I would love to see it. I don't know that we will. But you're going to have an opportunity to see Malik Nabers over the second half of this season. If LSU ends up playing in, if they end up beating Bama, get back to Atlanta, 13 and then 14 games, he will have a real shot of pushing Jamar Chase's single season record if he can get to that 14th game. Now, if you only play 13, you're not going to touch it. But realistically, we're looking at a year where Malik Nabers in his yards per game average is going to be second only, very likely, to Josh Reed in LSU football history, which is incredible. And if LSU continues winning games, then yes, there's a very, very real possibility that we see Malik Nabers on the Biletnikoff finalist list and there at the Biletnikoff Award, at the College Football Award ceremony, and potentially hearing his name called as LSU's 3rd Biletnikoff Award winner. He's got a match in the second half what he did in the first half, but he's pacing right now better than Jamar did and just off of Josh Reed's pace back in 2001. We've talked so much about Jaden Daniels, and justifiably so. We have not spent enough time talking about just how incredible it is what Malik Nabers is doing through the first 6 games of this season. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.